The mention of pre-Islamic here is the era of the advanced civilization that existed in the Kadachuan area of Svarnadvipa, to be more precise in the period before AD 78, because this year has been misinterpreted as the count of the beginning of the Saka year in the inscription, so that our history is lost before that year. The Kakya, Kaka, Saka, or the ancestors of the archipelago nation of this advanced civilization centered in Svarnadvipa, Saka in the local dialect is called Soko. In the traditional order there are Soko, Pisoko, Limbago recorded in the word Mahachakya, depicted in Vwana Chaka Fala now published as Borobudur. The center of this civilization was later published under Srivijaya, with the main character name of the Wangsa, Syalandra. The center of government, Kadachuan, is on Katanka Hill. The area of the holy city with its center of worship is Muarataka's site, in the Islamic era people called Muotakui, in the pre-Islamic era called Mongtakui. With an area bounded by an earthen embankment as high as 1.5 meters equipped with several main and special gates on the banks of the Kampar River as its pier. This area was of concern to the world before 78 AD, including the kingdom of Asoka India, which later in the year 1025 AD, Rajendra Chola from Tamil Nadu in India, launched an attack to seize this holy city to coincide with the return journey of scholars who were learning Atisa. Difamkara Surjnana from Sumatra to India and Tibet, the area of the holy city with the center of the puja, Mongtakui, has existed since 45,800 BC. This was the center of the initiation of other sites in the archipelago. In 1600 BC this area was called Ona Pariat, Ona Siangkang. The center of government on the hill, Katanka, was almost submerged by Plta. This name is still recorded in the surrounding area with the name Koto, which uses Anka. In the past there was only one site in the sacred area of the center of the puja in the area of the holy city which is now called Tuo Temple. In the past it was not shaped as it is today, resembling the pyramidal shape. This is the only tip that is visible in front of the ground from the form of a multi-story building resembling level of Borobudur. The shape that is visible now is the shape after 5 times the addition of red bricks from 5 generations who take care of it. Tuo Temple is not shaped like today but the height is the same. It was covered with red bricks for the first time in 1300 BC in the time of Svarnakerta, or the uncle of Svarnadvipa. Tuo Temple, in 900 to 800 BC during the Shanghyang Dachuik Svarna period covered with the second red brick. Tuo Temple, in the era of Suvarnadvipa Dharmakirti, 610 BC 520 BC with a fixed height, the top or head of the stupa covered with red bricks. Tuo Temple, in 520 BC at the end of the Dharmakirti era, the third red brick coating was applied. Tuo Temple, in 458 AD, the fourth red brick coating was carried out. In the era of the name, Srivijaya, it was called and known by outsiders in the world. Tuo Temple, in 640 AD, the fifth red brick layering was carried out, this dressing from the second floor podium up to 14 meters into the ground. In 1025 AD, Rajendra Chola from Tamil Nadu in India, launched an attack to seize this holy city, slaughtered 17 envoys of the Dachuik, burning and burying their bodies on the backdrop of the red brick floor of Tuo Temple, now still visible in the form of a mound of dirt, is now misinterpreted as a cremation place. Restoration of Candi Tuo, in 1984 AD, succeeded in maintaining the originality of the red brick 40% dominant in the lower corner with the characteristic of overgrown with moss. Malagai Stupa was built in 1300 BC. This stupa was once destroyed and rebuilt in the 13th century AD. J.W. Ijzerman 1889-1893. Carried out research as well as changes, restored and excavated to a depth of 30 meters in 1939-78 and restoration in 1978-84 with the results added less so that occurs. Loss of lion-shaped stone artifact. The movement of the stone with the footprint that should have been below, is now above the high tower, stupa. The closure of the hole above the stupa tower, original state is transparent from 4 cardinal directions. Closed doors, windows that should be on the podium supporting the stupa, it is easy to see from the signs of adding new bricks, which are not completely finished. Closure of the corner of the podium, mandala in the first level, missing one corner, the new bricks are not overgrown with moss. Addition of a round concrete pillar on the inside of the tower is the holder of the main structure of the stupa, information obtained from witnesses who are still alive. hollow circle the missing gold paper inscribed with mantra on each layer of the red brick circle of the stupa tower. The use of original bricks was only successfully maintained by 6% clearly visible on the tower in each circle of the red brick cover. The Malagay Stupa, with a red brick floor as a background, is now closed when the Palanka Temple was built and partially covered by the construction of the current paving block road. The Bungsu Temple was built in the 10th century, 2nd to the 5th year by Shanghyang Dachuik Kilamani Tiwarmadewa Kudamani Tiwarman, and Bungsu Temple, during 1984-86 in a state of destruction, then restored again with red brick which was taken from the Pangkai area. In the 12th century, 2 families were rescued due to a Kola attack. One was placed in Patapahan, on the bow of the Tapung River, the second was given an area in Parayongan. The origin of its descendants was from Dachuik Mangawang, the husband of Puti Indo Jelito. Then in the century 13 AD during the tenure led by Shanghyang Datu Pam Punchak Svarna, these 2 families were rescued again. One parent between Malam Bongsu and Panglimo Campo was given an area in Pagaruyang in an oral story stored in the Kampar community in Remember the Uda and Uni delivered to the hill, the location near or under the Simarlambu Hill, the Malimbu Hill around the border of Sumut, Sumbar, Riau, a figure in his time, namely, Datuk Kechik and Datuk Godang, with his temple building named Hyang Balai Mabau, has a background location near the legal beating area. The local community calls it a blood shower. Near the court area there is a red brick site. This site is excipated by a copper plate taken between the layers of bricks. Also this red brick intake to improve the main site Datu, Garuda, recorded in the name of the cave in Aliantan. Garuda cave comes from the name of the master. Dharmic original, named Shanghyang Datu Garuda brought this teaching to Papua until now there is a tribe. Damar, proven by his discovery the pad site in 2016 is in the form of a well and a background made of red bricks, spreading artifacts of 3 hectares. As a line of government officials at the center of the Kadachuan led by the top leader, it is called Datu, which has the title Niniak Dachuik Raho Dubalai. The name of a Datu is different in each region which indicates the area is central or part of the Kadachuan, namely the words Datu and Du in the word after Balai, which signifies the word is Vanua, Vatsal kingdom. Dachuik, the term in some bar. Datuk, term in coastal and islands. Datu, is the term in the central Kadachuan, pre-Islamic, after Islam is called Dachuik. The mention still exists today, for example, Datuk Dabalai, in the area of Sialong, Duran Tinggi Kapur 9. Datuk Dabalai, in the Rokan area, its current generation is around the Tanong River in Bangkanong. Datuk Rajo Dabalai, in the Saruoso area, Batu Sangkar. Niniak Dachuik Raho Dubalai, in XLLL Koto Kampat. The mention of Datuk starts from Bagan to Kuala Tungkal. Coastal Datuk. Datuk Tanah Datar. Datuk Rajo Dabalai is in power in Sarwaso Parayongan, Merapi. Datuk Dabalai in Limestone Area 9. Datuk Naro in Negri Tanjung. Datuk Sati on Mount Malalo. Datuk Bandaro in Tanjung Village. Datuk Lubak in Limbonong. Datuk Kampar, the term for the elder cadres outside Kampar. Dachuik Dubalai in XLLL Koto Kampar. The top leader, known as Niniak, was chosen based on the consensus of the Datu, based on the lineage of the mother who fell to the victory, meaning to become a top leader in the Kadachuan center. If a Niniak Dachuik person wants to find a replacement after himself, it will be dropped on the husband of his daughter based on the tribal agreement represented by his Datu, with several criteria. 1. Smart and clever. 2. Be wise. 3. Godang. 4. Boso. 5. Rock. 6. Clear lines of descent from mother. Ayur Jernia Kaziak Puta, and father clear. Folklore in Kampar is called Dachuik Nan Batago. 1. Dachuik Gaho Dubalai Kampar XLLL Koto. 2. Dachuik Sati, on Mount Malalo. 3. Dachuik Bandaro, in Tanjung Village. Dachuik Naro, existed in the 13th century AD. Notes, Datuk Lubak, from Andiang, Limbonong, Andiang Koto Nan Luwei. Niniak Nan Bo Ampik was born from the youngest daughter, Lindang Bulan, continued a new generation after, Niniak Nan Bo Ampik. The 4 Naghori angles, the 4 colors represent the 4 main terms. 1. Domo. 2. Piliang. 3. Patapang. 4. Body. 5. Malayu. The four main tribes of the Hingi are now divided into 78 tribes. Domo, absorbed from the literacy of the main word, Dharma, Dhamma, Pasma, Baspa, Pagaralam Palambing, the name for its eldest parent, Datuk Munyang. In Kadachuan there is a tribe of Malayu, the period of the destruction of early civilization. This is possible as the nation, Malay, Malayu, era after that is the kingdom, Minanga Ketua, Minang Ketua Kadachuan. The tribes above did not exist in the pre-Islamic era. The mention of Domo at that time was the term for the Arya Rshi Brahmin. The term Padopang was the supporters of the Domo. Piliang was the one protecting the Domo of the Pilihan Hyang, fortifying Domo, while Malayu were advisors. This designation exists after Islam in the 7th century AD. The pre-Islamic term, Malam, is an advisor. They are scattered in several areas called Para Malam. In the 5th century, Shanghyang Datu Kumarwadewa, Kilawarman built the youngest temple for his grandmother on the background of the Malagai Stupa, completed in the 6th year. Kadachuan during the War of the 11th century, 54, was controlled by Kola Mandala led by Chola Diwa. At this time, the Domo tribe has only been detected. There are 3 of them that have just been written that can only be discovered. 1. Domo Gadong. 2. Domo Length. 3. Domo Kaniago. In the 8th century AD, the 25th year when Raja Indraputra was already in the form of a sultanate destroyed from the outside by the Portuguese and from the inside by the British, the king was rescued to Xll Koto Kampar. The main family of the sultanate was rescued to Penyangat Island to become the sultanate of Riau, the origin of the word for noisy, atmosphere, chaos, hustle and bustle. There is a family who went to Kalimantan to build a sultanate in Kalimantan. In the 11th century there was a colonial attack. The sultanate family was rescued divided into 14 groups. 12 groups were rescued to Xll Koto Kampar, another royal family to Gasab, to the 5th Koto Tiras Water. Then in the 15th century AD it became the sultanate. At this time the word, Malayu, was published and formed tribes, among them the Bendang tribe. The nephews in the early days of unity at that time were not yet tribal. When led by Kandra Nago, they were called Kaniago. The husbands of the nephews were called Tumenging, after the period of liberation from Kola by Adityawarman, in the 13th century, the 37th year after Islam entered the tribes. 3 waves of rescuing the Kadachuan family due to chaos by Kola and colonial. This incident gave birth to what is now called the Malayu Bukan Milayu tribe to become Malay, in the 16th century 69th century by colonialists. 1. First wave, Malayu Tuo. 2. Second wave, Malayu Tonga. 3. The first wave, Malayu Mudo. The family rescued by the Kadachuan, Domo, the early Kadachuan, Domo, Inhomo, the Brahmin, when they were in the tribe of the Domo, the oldest who was in the refugee, 13th century, the first Kadachuan system was returned still detected, which is called Luhik 50, Luhik Nan Bongsu, read the arrangement from below, Andiko Nan Limo Pulua, Rajo Nan Balamo, Datu Nan Basapula, Niniak Nan Bo Ampik, Bundo Dui Nan Batago. Read the arrangement from above, Shanghyang Dui Puti Nan Batago, then Niniak Nan Bo Ampik, Datu Nan Basapula, Rajo Nan Balamo, Andiko Nan Limo Pulua, Shohei Ampik Pulua Ampik, or legalized by 44 people Datu. In the descendants of the wife, Kandra Nago, the tribe is named Badi Kaniago. In the offspring of the son it is called Datu Pata. The cleverer is called Perpatia. From here his 4 sisters develop into 4 tribes. 1. Malay Malayu, not Milayu. 2. Muni, becoming the Muni Liang tribe. 3. Jambik, fixed. 4. Pito Dui Pito, the youngest, being a Pitopang tribe, not Padopang or Patapang. The origin of the naming of the Patapang tribe in pre-Islamic times was Pa-Tapa. Pertapa got an additional suffix ang to become Pa-Tapa Ang, Patapang, which later this word was formed into the name of the Patapang tribe in the 7th century. 40. Then in the 10th century, 10 years in Indrapuro, it is now called Minang in the tribal form, Pitapang. Then in the 13th century 36th, after the colonization of Kola by Adityawarman, there was another tribal formation to return it to change its name to the Pitopang tribe. The term Sajo Ratu That is the husbands of the tribal husbands who are the elders of one person. In this traditional event it appears that, Seijo Ratu, sits in a group with the mothers, Domo, absorbed from the literacy of the main word, Dharma, Dhamma, teachings brought by Adam with the characteristics of his spiritual contemplation which now called, Samadhi, Topo. Domo in the Kadatuan area is now recorded with the word, Domo. In North Sumatra it is detected as, Dominic. Domo in the pre-Islamic era, when humans were still gigantic, large, the early Kadatuan breed was detected as Datu's name, namely, Datu Domo. He was very feared because of his power. When he was angry from his right and left sides, 8 pairs of hands would come out, a total of 16, a gift, similar to what is depicted and is called Shiva. At that time the elephant beast prostrated, at that time there was something more feared, namely the manifestation of a human woman sitting on a golden lotus. In determining the leadership, top of the Kadatuan Adat, which is now called Andiko, is prioritized from the 4 main tribes. Example. If the Domo tribe cannot be present to fill the leadership position, then it is taken from the Malayu tribe. For example, this Malay tribe must be from the absolute basic Malay tribe. This is the descendant of the family from the mother, Si Ampu, in the Kadatuan named, Shanghyang Dui Puti Tuo, dynasty from the dynasty, Chandra Nago, in the government of pre-Islamic cadets called, World Indra, is not from Malay who belong to the group. 1. Malayu Tuo. 2. Malayu Tonga. 3. Malayu Mudo. 4. Malayu Tolang. 4. Malayu above is a breed from the Pamalayu family in Java which was saved by the cadets, one of which became a group or royal kingdom named Raja Malaikasale, in Johor which is now called Malacca, Masjid Sultanate, Malaikasale. In Johor now Malacca the name of the mosque was changed to Masjid Balaputra Dewa, in the British era. Also what built the country, Penang, in Malaysia was not colonial Britain but by Datu Janatan bin Rajo Poso bin Rajo Godang bin Rajo Moniong to the name. Sudan Bakulak Alam, was a son from the Kadatuan Indra Dunia family in 13 Koto Kampar. Likewise the heir breed of Putri Sri Dunia, had a son who replaced his grandfather in the Batu Tunai kingdom in Lampung. The Kadatuan area, to be precise on the Kampar River from the past, is marked by natural phenomena that rarely occur on Earth. This is one of the areas to the former Datuan Mas that is not easy to enter foreign ships that have not been here at all, and if the newcomers are not or not understand and legally get permission the immigrant ship will sink in this big wave. The Bono wave occurred 2 times at 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. from Kuala Kampar along 37 kilometers downstream with a height of 3 mtr, the highest in the world after which is in Brazil and the third is in Rokan. Folklore about Bono. In the past, there was a love story between siblings and marriage, then they were separated upstream in Koto Sibalong and one to the estuary, both of them always wanted to meet big waveforms from the estuary to the upstream. In Kadatuan before and after it was called Srivijaya, it was not the son's kingdom, if the kingdom of power was passed down from the father continuously to his son and it could possibly stop if there was no successor but in Kadatuan this did not happen because the successor in power was the mother, or queen, who gave the administration of government to be carried out by the son of his nephew or the husband of the daughter of Si Ampu, who in the implementation of his election had many requirements if he could not find it as an agent of government. While the mention of king in the Kadri is a designation for the one who is elevated, not the position of a hereditary king, such as king of the 3 realms. 1. Rajo Ade customary king. 2. Rajo Ibade king in religious affairs. 4. Rajo Alam king in government. This arrangement was recorded in an area called Jambulipo, in the Lubuik Tarak area in Sijunjung. This is where the descendants of the family lineage after the Kola attack in Sumatra were from the Adityawarman lineage of the mother-in-law of the Brahmawijaya kingdom. Singosari from Javadvipa, grave from Adityawarman is in Batu Sangkar. Adityawarman settled in Svarnadvipa 11th century AD, when the Kadri collapsed after being embraced by Kola tomb of Adityawarman. On the stone cage of his mother in Dharmsraya a daughter of a Singosari named Dara Petak, Adityawarman father, Brahajaya, one of Adityawarman's wives is his younger brother, Datuk Perpetia, following his father's tribe, Munaliang. While the location or area which is currently called Dharma Sraya, Regency around Sijunjung, Jambulipo Regency, Salak Regency, there is an area called Jambulipo, which was originally a kingdom led by the son of Adityawarman, after he was continued by another son to become leader. While the name Dharmasraya is the name of the son of Dapuntha Hyang, when he performed Marlapas, namely the holy journey of Siddhartha, a journey of spreading and caring for temples in the archipelago to Papua from his son named Dharma Raya. The names of the sons and daughters of Dapuntha Hyang, who lived on their way to fostering the people, not conquering kingdoms in the archipelago were 1. In the Bay of Kwanton the oldest son named Shanghyang Datu Rajamaharaja Buyang. 2. In Kuala Tungkal, Shanghyang Dui Puti Penang Cook. 3. In Dharmasraya his son was named Dharma Raya. 4. At Kadukan Hill, Si Guntang named Shanghyang Dui Puti Bungsu, who was born and studied in 13 Kodo Kampar and Tajavadvipa. The names of tribes that have been recorded and developed since the beginning of the formation of the tribes until now were recorded as 78 tribes, among others, and the 4 main tribes starting from the Kadachuan. 1. Domo. 2. Piliang. 3. Patapang. 4. Badi. 5. Malayu. 6. Kaniago. 7. Bendong. 8. Grab It. 9. Jars. 10. Koto. 11. 2. 12. Funds. 13. Mandalaiko. 14. Panyalai. 15. Kutiani. 16. Manda Ignores. 17. Dalamo. 18. The Buttress. 19. Singkuang. 20. Donate. 21. Banana. 22. Sumagek. 23. Cape. Before the Salt War tactics carried out by Colonial against Kadachuan, 3 groups of Dutch attackers, Orang Palaka, Donker invaded Padang Kadachuan in 13 Kodo to help Padang from colonial invasion by sending troops into the field. Then the colonialist directed the attack on 13 Kodo Kampar with tactics. The Salt War means closing down the area to the unity and holding back the confiscated supply of salt. Kadachuan in 13 Kodo Kampar received an embargo on the supply of salt from outside so that the community experienced a deficiency of iodine and many people experienced swollen necks. Goiter, the colonial forces forced negotiations with the barter of colonial salt in exchange for gold, so also gold mines tied with the current agreement. There is a title called Datuk Tambang. At this time there was a misunderstanding between the Sultanate and the Kadris in 13 Kodo Kampar. Proof of Kadachuan was the parent center, namely paying attention to the part of the territory, namely Kodo Kampar, helping when attacked by the Dutch before the tactic occurred. Salt wars by colonials. Datuk Bandaro, Datuk Naro, the younger brother of Datuk Naro Tamban, on flat land was crowned by the Dutch colonialists to become Sultan, in the customary order in the Kadachuan term. Bandaro is part of the system, the Datu assistance in implementing the leadership of the Ninik Datuik. This is what happened in Pagaruyung. When the Kadachuan family was in a chaotic situation, someone was rescued to Mount Selan as the wife of the king of Pagaruyung's son, then made the king of Mount Selan. The Pagaruyung group picked him up to a rim across the set-framed river, then spread out with Flower Sprig and King Tumengawang. Damang Libar Dan, the name on the Malay Peninsula is Datuk Luwai Telingo, a Brahmin, appointed Sang Sapuraba in the 11th century AD to be a fractional king. In Palembang as a great commander, the original king refused when in Singapore he made him sultan. The center of the Kadachuan government is located on the hill, Katangko, meaning, Tangko. Hill is not a hill yet. Ta Angko is neglected. The literacy of the word, Tang, Ko is found in Tang Kampau, Tang Kanong, Tang Yuling, Tang Lokan, Tang Mudik. Angko word literacy is the number form of government and its territory marked by using numbers, including 3 by Koto, Koto Limo, Tapung 6 Koto, Subayang 12 Koto, Chok 9, Onam Koto Base, Gulugu Onam Koto, Rokan Ampik Koto, Rajo Limo Cello. During the Chola attack, the Kadachuan family was rescued upstream by boarding a boat with a ship that weighs 3.5 tons to the Mahat 15 boats, to the upstream 7 awning, also into the forest to Sulagi and Tapung. Kadachuan was destroyed in the 11th century. 54 years one generation was up, then rose again in the 13th century, then the area above was called again with 3 Luhek. At the time of his tenure it was called Srivijaya. In 408 AD there was a character named Kresna. The brothers, Balaputra, had a son named Balaputra Dewa. Later he was appointed diplomatic by the Sultanate in Kuala Tungkal Marode Jambi, until he was recognized by the world including by Ashoka dynasty, the name of its first king, Asoka, in 250 BC. The first king, Asoka, was Dewey Dharma, a descendant of the mother goddess in the Domo tribe, had made a pilgrimage to the Kadachuan to do samadhi on a hill around the center of the puja carrying seeds and planted them in the place where he was meditating until the seeds grew to about 20 centimeters high. It takes approximately 3 weeks, until now the tree is still there and growing big. Srivijaya's unity with the holy city and center of worship in before 78 AD was called INDONÄSIARYÄ. The Indo word at the time of his mother, Indra Brahman, was called Indra Dunya, then in the days of his successor, his grandson, a boy named Shanghyang Prabhu Maharajadaraja Indo Dunya, and after entering the Islamic period sometimes shortened to Maho Indo. In the Aliantan area at the north gate of the holy city there is a Datu which is called Datu Maho Indo, shortened to Datu Majindo, which is part of the main tribal lineage of the male breed, Indra Brahman, namely, Kaniago, who serves as the guardian of the area's security. Inside after the north gate with the title, Shanghyang Datu Panglimo Campo, symbolized by black tiger. The literacy of the word, campo, is the word, campua, or part, which in the division of the territory in the Kadachuan is divided into 3, which is characterized by different words. 1. Minang, the mention of Dachuak. 2. Talago Kampar, the mention of Dachuak. 3. Kampar Kiri, Malayu, the mention of Datuk. The village or village called Mom Muara Mahake, which is currently submerged by the hydropower reservoir, is the second gateway to enter the holy city area at the center of the Kadachuan. Literacy. The word, Mahake, is the name of the local community. This is derived from the word, Mahe, Maha, namely, Aging, carved on the bas-reliefs of Borobudur which is now closed, namely the literary text of the word, Mahachakya, Kakya is Saka. This is a special gateway through which the princes and scholars enter the holy city to the center of the puja, after the colonial Padri war centered at the Fort Port de Chalk in the caged stone destroying the central unit, assisted by Panglima Sankara, the leader of the former Kola army which still has members of the Kola army who came from Tamil South India then supported by the colonial. Bukit Tinggi was the center of its government. At that time there was no original Datuk Raja di Balai. The colonial form made the formation of Datuk Raja di Balai, not original, forcing to become customary leaders there were 3 times. 1. The first shipment in 1840 received resistance from other Datuk. Datuk Raja di Balai was not originally killed. 2. The second shipment received resistance from the other Datuk. Datuk Raja di Balai was not originally kidnapped. 3. The third shipment in 1889 managed to sit down with the escort of the colonial army. Datuk Raja di Balai was not originally safe. The same thing happened in the center of Kadachuan. The Malay tribe is different from the term Malayu tribe, a tribe that was formed after converting to Islam by Adityawarman, which is the 5th tribe to form the new Malayu. 4 main terms. 1. Domo. 2. Piliang. 3. Patapang. 4. Body. 5. Malayu. The Malay tribe, or the term Malayu, existed during the Portuguese era, when the colonialists ganged up on Sultan Malaikasale in Johor to become the Kingdom of Malacca, after he converted to Islam, which was saved by the Kadachuan family before 3 waves or 3 rescues, namely 1. In the 7th century 40, this is what is called Malayu Tuo. 2. In the 15th century 11th century, this was what was called Malayu Tonga. 3. In the 16th century 39, this was what was called Malayu Mudo. The tribal formation was chaired by Datuk Patia, or Datuk Nan Sabatang, and Datuk Mengging, in Kodo Batu, Batu Batakam Pasumayam, Pariangan Flat Land Merapi Sumbar today. In Kadachuan, Adityawarman after coming home from the density in the Batakam rock held a density on the hill of Malam with Datu Gadong Chinchan, which was attended by 44 other Datu people. It was at this time that the chanting of Andiko 44, and the top leadership was called Niniak Dachuak Raho du Balai. After that they returned to their respective Nagari including 13 Koto, Rokan, Galugar, Tapung, Limo Koto, Talak, Pangkalan. Marlapas, by 3 Datu people who departed from the Kadachuan center and 13 Koto. 1. Shanghyang Datu Dapunta, is known as Dapunta Hyang. 2. Shanghyang Datu Kampala Kampala, to the north. 3. Shanghyang Datu Munyang, to the west carried out the guidance of the original Dharma people to expand the temple in the old mountain to Aceh. The three of them together with 2,213 alumni graduates, Dapunta Hyang carried out, Marlapas, to the east and north on the holy journey bringing, original Dharmic, teachings of the ancestors of the archipelago Dharma which is called, Siddhartha, is not conquering the country, bringing their sons and daughters to leave them to foster people in the area to Javidvipa Bali Papua to Yunnan. 1. Kadukan Hill, Siguntang Guntang with his guidance from the upstream of the Musi River to the downstream. 2. Dharma Raya which later turned into Dharmasraya. On the island of the river the Bono River built and expanded the temples on the island of Punjang as well as the temples in Padang Lawas. 3. Teluk Kuantan Lubuk Jambi, Maharajadaraja Buyang. 4. Kuala Tungkal where his daughter lived, Shanghyang Dui Penang Masik, had a daughter named or simply called, Sana. 5. Bali in the lake on the hill, Maharajadaraja Putra Dharma, during the Mataram era was protected by the Soko Mataram, which currently still exists with the characteristic of its village houses with red brick walls and the top of woven bamboo as well as sites made of red brick. The period of division of the designation, Central Sumatra, with the colonization of the regions into three provinces in 1957-58. 1. Sumbar call itself Minangkabau, centered on the stone cage. 2. Jambi calling himself Malay. 3. Riau calling yourself Malay, the island area of Penyangat Island, mainland around Siak. Kadachuan in the 7th century of the 20th century held a large density area in the large area of the Supreme Court complex. Pelatar is currently cut off by a road made in the Dutch era 95 meters west from the center of the Puja site, led by Shanghyang Datu Malam Puta and Shanghyang Maharajadaraja Indra Brahman. At this time there started to be called Andiko 44 which is based on Islam at the Srivijaya Kadachuan with the title of its top leader, Niniak Dachuak Raho Dubalai. Shanghyang Datu Malam Puta, was already Islam at the age of 16. The glory of Kadachuan faded 11th century 54th century was colonized by Kola 2 centuries, then it was reshaped after the arrival of Aditya Warman. The term based and the term, Batu Basindi, was perfected in a rearrangement in Parayangan, Batu Batakam, Pasumayam, the land of the slopes of Merapi, namely the sentence, Adat Basanding Sorik, Sorik Basindi Kitabula. The term, Batu Basindi, is a term taken from stones that naturally grow from the ground in the shape of a yellow-brown cylinder, circle within a meter of 40 cm to 1 mtr with a variant height between 20 cm to 30 cm very hard. In the center there is a white circle of 5 to 8 cm containing different types of rocks, namely transparent. There are lines of fingers pointing outward like, this stone naturally grows continuously from the ground and breaks when it reaches a height of between 40 cm to 1 mtr. At the time when the sons and daughters of Indaputi Jalito, Datuk Temangawang and Datuk Papatia, were previously rescued in Indrapuro, they were rescued by Tuan Gadia. At the end of the 9th century, the tomb of Tuan Gadia was in Indrapuro, not as neat as today's publication. Mr. Gadia is the Ampu or Mother Queen in the matrilineal system. Arriving in Parayangan, his brother who was there had turned to outsiders. In the 10th century his son named Indrayana was adopted. Later there was a war for 3 years for the help of a traitor. There was a devastation, at a time after the colonial colonizers published this with the term, Minang Kabau. The founder of the Sultanate, Indrapuro, West Sumatra was led by his son, Indrayana. This is when the tribes with the Patapa Ang tribe in the 7th century 10 began to exist, then changed their name in the 10th century to the 10th century in Indrapuro, the coast of Sumbar with the title, Pita Pang. In the 11th century, 37 years by Datuk Tumenging, Datuk Patia, the son of Indo Jelito, the grandson of the Kadachuan breed in 13, Kodo Kampar, was sealed in Parayangan, Pasumayam, the Kodo Batu, Batik, flat land, one of which was about the change of the word, Pita Pang, to Pito Pang, which was later called, Patapang Basa. Pitapang Basa Panglimo Sutan. Pitapang Batu in the city of Batu Batakam Pasumayam Parayangan. Pitapang Basa at 13 Kodo Kampar Masik Dalam Kelumpak Suku Utama, Domo, Damasa pra Islam di Kadachuan, Pitapang basa ini yang mempunyai kesaksian mampu berkolaborasi dengan 4 unsur air, angin, api, tanah karena teknik belajar yang ada di Kadachuan yaitu ada sebutan untuk para, dui air, dui angin, dui api, dui tanah. Aceh adalah daerah dari Tra Kadachuan, di sini masih menyebut leluhur nya sebagai, Manzil Indra Dunia, yang disebut, Pagaruyung, dengan, Sultan Baikulak Alam Indra Dunia, adalah Tra Keturunan Putra dari, Shangyang Prabu Maharajadaraja Indra Dunia, Putra dari Bunda Dui Ratu di Kadachuan. Istilah, Dang Tak Balik, adalah penamaan bagi kaki tangan penjaja bekerja sebagai alat, 5 Raja Bugis di Lada Portugis untuk menguasai Selat Malacca, mereka dijadikan Raja di Karajan Pesisir Pantai diantaranya Siak, P. Penyangit, Johor, Malacca. Sejak Pucuk Bandaro di Tandan Puo nama Aliantan di Siba Tanah Simpang Empat, kini di daerah Badan ada daerah Kepala 8, Kepala 9, Kepala 6. Konsep adat, Minang, di Sumbar, Kuku Kapanakan Bagadang K Ninik Mamak, Bagadang Ka Pengulu, Pengulu Bagadang Ka Kabanaran Badiri Sandaranya. Konsep adat, Melayu, Anak Kepanakan Baraja Ka Datuk Baraja K Pengulu Baraja K Mufakat Baraja Pada Kebenaran Berdiri Sandaranya. Konsep adat, Andiko, di Kadachuan XLLL Koto Kampar, Niniak Mamak Saadat, Sakulik, Sakain Sabatan, Malam Sakatib, Dubalang Sakudorag, Atau Dalam Sebutan Lane Nya, Talago Kabanaran Berpachakan Niniak Dachuik Dubalai, Andiko Satalago, Pengulu Sa Andiko, Ninik Sa Pengulu, Mamak Sa Ninik Mamak, Kuku Sisi Kapanakan Samamak. Datuk Lubak, Dari Andiang Koto Nan Lawait Limbonang, Adalaturlahir Dari Putri Bungsu, Lindang Bulan, Satella Babarapa Generasi Satella Nya Baru Ada, Niniak Nanbo Ampik. Di Wilaya 13 Koto Kampar 13 Dachuik 13 Naghori, Puchik Andiko Puchik Naghori, Niniak Dachuik Rajo Dubalai, Adala Puchik Dari. 1. Puchik Nagari Tigo Balai Koto. 2. Alam Andiko 44. 3. Ninik Nanbo Ampik. 4. Alam Soko Pisoko Limbago Pengertian Kata, Alam, Adala Pamangku Adat Sesuai Tugas Juga Tatanan Adat Yang Berlaku. 5. Puchik 13 Koto Negri. Andiko Terdiri Dari Babarapa, Kampuo, Atau Bajan. 1. Kampuo XLLL Koto Naghori. 2. Kampuo Nan Limo Koto. 3. Kampuo Onam Koto. 4. Kampuo Amp Khalifa. 5. Kampuo Rajo di Ranto. 6. Kampuo Pengkalan Onam Koto. 7. Kampuo Kapur Sembilan. 8. Kampuo Nan Onam Koto Galugu. 9. Kampuo Pokan Amp Koto Rajo. 10. Kampuo Limo Silo. 11. Kampuo Nan Tigo Bole Terdiri Dari, Peluang, Pulau Gadong, Muara Mike, Tanjung Alay, Batu Basurik, Pongkai, Koto Tuo, Muotakui, Tanjung, Gunung Malelo Parat Nan Tinggi, Sabaruang, Tabing, Gunung Bangsu. Kampuo Nan Limo Koto, Kuo, Bangkanong, Air Tiras, Umbio, Salo. By Santo Saba. Exploration and Research.